This is Strengths Based Radio, promoting recovery and well-being through podcasts about mental health. Welcome to Strengths Based Radio. I'm Josh Kirsch-Burchard. I'm here with Peter Taylor, author of Smell the Coffee and Wake Up, a Zen guide to mindfulness and self-discovery. Peter is going to read an essay from chapter 6 of his book. Chapter 6 is called Meditation, and the essay is called The Fundamentals. Peter, would you read us that essay?
Thank you. The fundamentals. When life gets tough, it's best to simplify things and to focus on the fundamentals. Awareness of your thoughts and feelings, kindness to yourself and others, and living in the here and now are fundamental practices to help you weather the rough times and feel happier. Meditation is the training ground for practicing the fundamentals. In meditation, you learn to focus your awareness in the here and now and train yourself in kindness with kindness. If you practice meditation in the morning and evening for 20 to 30 minutes every day, your ability to focus your awareness will improve. If you don't currently meditate and you add meditation to your daily routine, your focus will improve rapidly. As your ability to focus your awareness improves in meditation, you will notice your naturally increased mindfulness throughout the day. Mindfulness is being aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. As you notice your thoughts, you will see how they interact with your feelings. You will find yourself noticing difficult feelings that you have habitually ignored. You will notice how your thoughts feed your feelings. As you practice kindness to yourself and others, you will notice your less than kind habits in your thinking. You may notice yourself judging total strangers or intimate friends with harsh opinions. As you learn to notice those automatic opinions, you may berate yourself for being so cruel, thus reflecting the cruelty back on yourself. If you notice that happening, you can take pleasure in the fact that you are present and your kindness awareness is working. Any specific thought that you notice places you in the present moment. If you notice yourself worrying about next week, you notice that thought in the present. No matter where your mind wanders, you are always rooted in the present. If you check in with yourself in the present, you may notice that you are holding your breath or clenching your teeth or high as a kite. As you delve into the here and now, you can find some peace, freedom from your past and future. Whether or not you choose to meditate can build your capacity for focused awareness. You can use these fundamental practices to bring positive changes to your life. Awareness makes you present and provides safety from worries of past or future, and kindness in your thoughts and actions makes you happier.
You say any specific thought that you notice places you in the present moment. What are some of the fundamental ways that you can become more able to notice your thoughts in the present moment?
Anytime that you notice your thoughts, when you're aware that you're noticing your thoughts, then you're based in the present moment. So you don't sort of recognizing, once you start thinking about mindfulness and how good it is to be in the present moment, then you start wondering if you're in the present moment. So just, if you're thinking maybe, I wonder if I'm in the present moment, then you're in the present moment. If you remember, oh, I have to be present, then you're present. If you think, what am I thinking? And be aware of your thoughts, then you're present, you're watching your thoughts. Even if your thoughts are about the future or the past, just being aware that you're watching your thoughts is a centering yourself in the present.
But aren't there better ways to be in the present moment and worse ways?
No, there's only one way. I mean, being aware in the present moment is the only way to be aware, to be in the present moment. Sometimes the present moment feels better or worse than other moments. Sometimes you're feeling great, sometimes you're not feeling great. But being aware of how you're feeling when you're feeling it is all you can do at any time.
Is it possible to be completely unaware of where you are in the present moment?
It is. That's a lot of people spend a lot of time unaware of where they are in the present moment, and they're just carried away with life circumstances and forget that they have a body, and they forget that they're human beings. They forget that they're basically good. So they just worry, and I have to do this and I have to do that, and you get caught up in your mind and then worry about how things will be or worrying about how things have been. But when you remember that you're a person with a body and you're basically good, then you come back to the present moment. And that's mindfulness. It's coming back to the present moment, but remembering your goodness and remembering kindness.
If I wanted to be more mindful, say when I'm walking down the street in Philadelphia where I live, and I just decide I'm going to notice, the car go by and the breeze in my hair or anything kind of going on in my immediate surroundings, is that a way of being mindful? Or yes?
Yeah, that's a great way of being mindful.
And what if I get bored with that?
And you're mindful of your boredom. Here I am being bored, being in the present moment. How does bored feel?
Yeah.
What is?
I get real familiar with boredom. That's not entirely true. I'm not often that bored.
Good. But it is boring. That's part of, it's one of that, boredom is kind of the basic essence of suffering. It's sort of when you're not doing anything and you're just with your own discomfort. It's sort of a pervasive discomfort that lies beneath the surface. And that's kind of boredom. So when you're not thinking about things and you're not doing something that you think is pleasurable, and you're kind of fighting off maybe more negative feelings or whatever, then you find boredom. And when it's true that being mindful of, I'm walking down the street, there are cars, I'm taking a left footstep, I'm taking a right footstep, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out.
It's almost like I'd rather go back to worrying,
Yeah, it's boring.
But how is meditation linked to being mindful when I'm walking down the street, trying to be in the present moment?
Meditation helps you let your thoughts go, because it just helps you look at your thoughts and be aware of your thoughts and be kind and non-judgmental and recognize your own basic goodness. Like when you sit in meditation, that's all there is. And it might be boredom, it might be excitement, it might be fear, anything can come up. But you're sitting there with the basic idea of I am here and I'm going to be sitting here and I'm a good human being sitting here meditating. It's just being present, and then you're watching your mind, because when you're meditating, you're doing all that you can do in that moment. You're doing enough, and you can let everything else follow by the wayside. So you develop that observer perspective and the understanding of basic goodness, and that stays with you as you go through the day. So when you are walking down the street and you're trying to be mindful, you breathe and you see where you are. And if you're bored, then you look into boredom. If there's something interesting, you look into something interesting. But it's just a series of watching thoughts. So all thoughts come at all time, and it's the same as in meditation. Any thought can come to you while you're sitting there, but when you're walking down the street, any thought can come to you. But how you see it, how you respond to it is interesting.
Like the thought crossing my mind now that I'm observing is, oh crap, what's my next question? I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I can remember being. So we're right now we're at Taylor's Lane Farm, where I grew up and where Peter's family has been for 300 years, and boredom was what I dreaded most, and I spent my family were all readers and bookworms, and I was a doer. I always wanted to be doing things. And when I ran out of things to do, it was really distressing because I might spend hours just sort of like kicking, rocks down the lane or whatever. So it is interesting to me that boredom is a sort of rite of passage for the meditator or the mindfulness attempter, and that the idea is to observe the boredom and to learn from the boredom, is what I gathered, and that is interesting.
Yeah. As soon as boredom's interesting, it's not boredom anymore.
Yeah, it's no longer boredom. It's that observer I have experienced, and I have experienced during meditation, which I learned from you, but I experience it more outside of meditation, because in meditation I'm trying to just focus on my breath, and I'm counting, in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, and then keep going. So I'm not often during that meditation am I observing thoughts, because I'm such an amateur. I'm caught up in, the counting and the focusing on the breath, which I guess is probably where I should be for, an amateur meditator. But when outside of meditation, I find there's a lot of opportunity to observe thinking. And what was it like when you started meditating? Did you find that you just took to it and that you were observing thoughts and that you were counting, your breaths in and out, or what was that like for you?
I think it was a long, involved process of just doing it again and again and again and again and again. So when I began meditation, I think I wanted more out of it. You put a little pressure on meditation to be wonderful. And then, so you focus on your breath, and it's harder. Your focus is a little less probably in the beginning, and sometimes more prone to sleepiness and less. I didn't have quite as many techniques to bring myself back to myself, like focusing on my posture. But what you say, if you're absorbed in the counting and you don't get bored and you're, that's perfect meditation. Like, it doesn't get better than that.
Is there any point where I can stop counting and only observe thoughts? I mean...
Yeah. Like sometimes if you're doing that breathing counting, you might do that to begin your meditation. So you count for the first 20 breaths or so. You count yourself and do deep breathing and count each breath in sets of 5 up and 5 down for 20 times. And when you get to 20, then you just count your breaths one at a time. So then there's a whole lot more space between 1, 2, 3, or you can breathe more normal. 4, it just, and then that space between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is so huge, you have room for lots of thoughts to come and take you away. And you might not make it up to 10. So, and then it's easier to bring yourself back because there's not so much, and then you just start at 1 because it doesn't matter where you are. You're like, oops, I got distracted. I'm going to start at 1 again. And there's all kinds of ways to meditate, but the counting up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of work to get to 20. And you're constantly filling your, there's not a whole lot of room for thoughts to get in.
Right.
So it really builds your focus.
Right. It does. And I remember you telling me if your thoughts start going off and you've lost the focus on your breath and the counting, then start back at 1 and go through the cycle again, which is difficult.
Right, because you feel like you've achieved something. You've already gotten to 13, and then you get lost.
Right.
You're like, I don't want to start at 1 again. And if that's so you don't have to. So you could say, I was somewhere, around 13, so I'm going to start at 12, or I'm going to start at 15, or I'm going to go up to 18. I'm tired of this. You could just, there's lots of things you can do, but it's really maintaining that non-judgmental. I'm watching my thoughts. I'm building my focus. I'm here in my body. That's the basic practice of meditation. So, and if you tried it, if you can just sit and watch your thoughts after you, and then that's another form of meditation. Just see how often you notice your thoughts. Don't pay any attention to your breath, and then when you notice that you're thinking something, you just say, thinking, let that go. So, but the breath, the counting is fun. I mean, it gives you a gauge of how easily you're carried away. Right. Whereas if you don't have any counting, and you're just kind of sitting there until your timer goes off. Right. Yeah. I think I tried it without counting a few times, and I was swept away and thinking without awareness, pretty quickly. And it is a skill. I've heard it described as a skill, being meditation and the meditation being the kind of strengthening exercise that leads to mindfulness outside of meditation. So, which I haven't meditated for like the past month or so, but before that I did for, maybe 7 times a week I meditated, and I was able to get some perspective and have some observing of my thoughts just during the day, and it was helpful. And I would realize, I'm really worried about this. Okay, I'm really worried about this, and let it go, or just kind of have this sense in my head that it wasn't just one thought that was going on. It was like a thought and a kind of another angle observing it somehow. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's been a helpful thing for me. And let's take a break, and we'll be back with Peter Taylor. Thank you for listening to Strengths-Based Radio. Join us on our website at strengthsbasedradio.org.